All right, guys, welcome back. We are reviewing last night's race at the Knoxville Raceway for the World of Outlaws, what I believe is race number 28 of the season for them. And it was a big one. There was over 60 cars in the pit area. A lot of drivers from High Limit Racing were there. Over 10 of them, I believe, 10 to 12 of the High Limit drivers were there. And then obviously you get a lot of the Knoxville regulars that have a great chance to win there as well. And then as well as the 12 Outlaw guys. So it was a really, really stacked field, maybe been the best field of the year so far in sprint car racing. The final tune-up this weekend before the Knoxville Nationals in August for all of these traveling teams. They only get to get there one time a year. And so this is a really crucial weekend for them to get things dialed in before they come back for the granddaddy of them all in August, right? So an interesting night. I wasn't able to watch the whole night. I was actually at Ohio Sprint Week over at Millstream Speedway last night. I did get to catch the feature after our race was over there. I hopped in the car and turned on Dirt Vision, and it was about right in time for the feature. So, but it was a little bit weird. They had to do some track work before the feature, which is something you really don't see very often for Knoxville when it comes to a race that isn't the Nationals. Usually, they usually don't have to do any track prep throughout the night. But tonight, last night, they had some issues, and they didn't quite fix it all the way. The racetrack was really good there for the first 20 or so laps, and then it looked like it kind of maybe took rubber towards the end. But it was still a pretty entertaining race. Probably had one too many yellows in there, but other than that, it was still pretty good. Now, let's take a look at the lap-by-lap thing I got going on here. So lap one, Parker Price Miller actually started on the pole of this race. He won the dash. He leads the first 9 laps of the feature, and he looked really strong, just like he has for the last couple of weeks on the High Limit Tour. He's probably been the guy that's turned the most heads here recently because he's just been on the podium, running up front, having a lot of good runs. I don't even know if I mentioned it at Eagle, but he went from like 22nd to 8th at Eagle as well. So he's been really, really fast recently. And then on lap 4, him and Gravel are absolutely checked out from the rest of the field. Only 4 laps into the race, and they were pretty much gone from, at that point in time, Sheldon Hodenshield, who was running in the 3rd spot. Then on lap 4, Aaron Reitzel was running in the 5th spot. He clips the infield berm and almost saves the car, but ends up spinning out and drawing the first caution of the night. And then on lap 5 on the restart, Sheldon is able to slide by David Gravel to take over the 2nd position. And he looked really strong here at this point in time. And I'm not sure what happened to him at the end. I don't remember them saying anything about it on the Dirt Vision broadcast, but he ends up in 22nd after being in 2nd and almost taking the lead there for a moment. Then on lap 7, Brian Brown slows down in turn number 1. He was running in the 12th position at the time, goes into the infield. I don't think he came back out. Yeah, he ran in the 20th spot, so I don't think he came back onto the racetrack. And then lap 9, a few laps later, David Gravel gets back by Sheldon Hodenshield. He ran the bottom really nice off of turn 4, able to drag back by him. And, at this point in time, Parker Price Miller still in the lead. He's really not that far ahead of these guys. And Gravel has the bottom dialed in there. And he looked strong and looked like maybe the guy to beat. Then lap 10, David Gravel then takes the lead off of turn number 4, once again using the inside of the racetrack. At one point in time, Parker's leading and he's on the inside, and Sheldon is right there, probably like this down the straightaway on the outside. And I think that Parker got, maybe a little bit mind screwed up or whatever. And he's like, well, it sounds like the top's better. So he goes up to the outside. And then right about that time, Gravel makes his way by Sheldon and he uses the inside to go right by Parker. And so kind of picked his pocket a little bit. Then lap number 12, a few laps later, Parker actually catches back up to Gravel and slides him for the lead. And I was kind of surprised. Usually you see guys get passed for the lead, and, if they're not one of those elite guys, they get passed for the lead and start dropping the anchor out. But that was not the case at all for Parker last night. He was really, really good. And then at the same time as that, Kyle Larson from 10th to 4th, getting by a couple of cars in one lap. Lap 13, Larson passes 2 cars, gets by Sheldon, and he gets by Parker Price Miller, moves into the 2nd position. And on lap 16, 3 laps later, he's able to take the lead away from David Gravel on the inside of the track. And so at that time, it looks like the track could potentially be taking rubber, right? Lap 20, Kyle Larson's pulled away a little bit from David Gravel, but not by a whole lot. They're in traffic, and Kyle blows up. So engine expires, he's done, and hands the lead right back over to David Gravel. Lap 21, this is where I have, it looks like it is taking rubber, maybe, but I'm a little bit confused because on lap 23, James McFadden is absolutely ripping the top of the racetrack and passing cars when it looked like it may have been rubber on the inside. So wasn't really sure if it was. That's why I had a question mark there. But you could definitely tell towards the end, many of the competitors were on the very inside of the racetrack. and there were only a select few on the outside, but James McFadden was one of them, and he was really, really fast. Then on lap 25, David Gravel crosses the finish line, wins by 2.2 seconds at the finish over Parker Price Miller and Rico Abreu. So PPM led laps 1 through 9, David Gravel 11 through 15, and then 20 to 25, and Kyle Larson led laps 16 through 19. Now, you could probably say that Kyle Larson was more than likely going to win this race if his engine did not let go. At the time that it let go, David Gravel really wasn't that far behind. There was traffic up the road, so you never know what could happen, but it looked like, Kyle going from 10th to 1st, you got to think that he was going to be the guy to beat. Even with his engine expiring, you probably knew that he was going to win that race if that did not happen. Now, looking at the full field rundown, David Gravel wins it. Parker Price Miller, that is the 9th win of the season for David Gravel. He's now the winningest driver in the country in sprint car racing. PPM 2nd, Rico 3rd, James McFadden 4th, and Tyler Courtney in 5th. So right there in the top 5, you got 4 high-limit drivers right there. And, if Larson did not blow up, you would have had a lot of high-limit guys up there inside the top 10. And then how about Darren Pittman? Wow, this team had not been to Knoxville in several years. Darren Pittman's only ran 2 races all year. One of them he won, and then he runs 6 against the Outlaws at the toughest field of the year so far. This team could potentially be a spoiler come August at Knoxville Raceway. I think they could easily run in the top 10 at the Knoxville Nationals. This team and this driver have won big races in the past, and it was crazy to see them up front. Darren was absolutely hammering the bottom. Like, he came off 4 one time and was doing a wheelie, it looked like, off the inside berm and passing cars at the same time as doing it. So great run for Darren Pittman. Corey Day, 22nd to 7th. There was a couple of guys tonight that had some problems getting through the heat races, getting through qualifying. Corey Day was one of them. Donnie Schatz was one of them. Logan Schuchart, Bill Baylog. A couple other guys having some problems getting through the feature. Brad Sweet, he had problems as well. But Corey Day, 22nd to 7th, and that is an impressive run. Gio Scelzi finished in 8th. Logan Schuchart, after using a provisional, drove up from 25th to 9th. Donnie Schatz had to come through the B main. He won that. He started 21st and finished up in 10th. Anthony Macri was 11th. And then you got Austin McCarl finishing in 12th. Buddy Kofoid 13th from 23rd. And this is not Chris Windom. This is Kerry Madsen. They drive for the same team. And so I figured I would use that 55 magnet. And then Brad Sweet. Not sure what's going on there. Those guys, obviously, this is not a points race for them. They run for the high limit championship. So maybe they were just trying some things, seeing what works, what doesn't work. We'll see what they do tonight. Maybe they were just trying something a little bit different to see if they could hit on anything. Clearly, it did not work. 20th to 15th, not a good night at all for Brad Sweet. 16th was Aaron Reitzel after having that spin running inside the top 5. Justin Peck, 17th. Kelby Watt, he made the show. Probably out of all these people on the board, Kelby Watt, the most random one to make the show. Great job to him. 24th to 18th for him. Brandon Wimmer, 19th. Brian Brown, 20th. Carson Macedo, he ran 21st, but there was nothing wrong with the car. He got lapped by, or almost lapped by, David Gravel and Kyle Larson. So Macedo, we'll talk about here in a moment, losing wholesale points in the championship. Have no idea what was wrong with them. I'm thinking maybe in the same case as Brad Sweet, maybe they were trying something, but that seems a little bit dangerous when you're only 10 points out of the World of Outlaws championship fight. Carson Macedo was a non-factor in this feature. I mean, he wasn't even close. And he started 14th, so it looks like they struggled all night long. Like I said, I did not get to watch qualifying, the heats, the beat, or anything. I was at a different race here in Ohio. Now, 22nd was Sheldon Hodenshield. Like I said earlier, I don't know what happened to him. I don't remember them saying anything about him on the stream or anything like that, but he was up there in second, challenging for the lead. He ends up in 22nd after something went wrong. Brock Zierfoss brought out a couple of cautions in this one, 23rd. Kyle Larson, he had that engine expire, finished 24th. Bill Baylog needed a provisional. He finished 25th. And then Scott Boguski finished up in the final position in 26th in car number 10. Now, looking at the World of Outlaws point standings after this one, Gravel gains significant ground, or pulls away even more than he already was from his closest championship rivals. Carson Macedo came in 10 points behind. He leaves 52 points behind after last night. Donnie Schatz, 60 points behind. He finished 10th compared to David Gravel getting the win. Gio Scelzi was the closest of his championship rivals to him. He finished in the 8th position. And then Buddy Kofoid back here in 13th, now minus 122. But still the top 5 are pretty close, I would say, for this time in the year. Only 122 points separating the top 5 in the World of Outlaws points. But Carson Macedo, if you look back at my video the other night talking about him, the top 5 guys from each, the Outlaws, High Limit, and Knoxville, you would have thought, well, Carson Macedo is probably going to run pretty good. I had him P1. He had like a streak of 18 top 5 finishes in a row. Not only does that come to an end, it comes to an end it like burns to flames. It burst into flames. 21st place for Carson Macedo, and nothing went wrong. I don't think we've seen that in a very long time from that team. And so hopefully they can get things figured out for tonight. So the points have been updated here, and David Gravel's looking pretty good going into tonight. We'll see who comes out on top, but looking, if you're, kind of a fan of looking at where the high limit guys were to the outlaw guys, there's only, 4 outlaws in the top 10. And then you got a lot of high limit guys right up there towards the first couple of positions. And then you got a couple of guys sprinkled in there with Darren Pittman, Anthony Macri, Austin McCarl up there towards the front of the field as well. So a pretty good mix of each of the factions we talked about the other night on my video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we'll watch tonight. I don't think I'm doing anything tonight, so we'll be able to watch the full program for the Outlaws at Knoxville on night number 2. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you again here soon.